Hey guys, here at Gracie Schwartzwald. I'm here with Eric on Mete, and we're going to go over a Patreon request I had. So one of the things I get messages from is people who are just kind of normal people who start jiu-jitsu, and they start at an academy that is often very sport focused and very athletic based focused, kind of in a lot of ways the opposite of what Elio designed the art to be. And so it's all about go as fast as you can, jump around, da-da-da, get your points, da-da-da. Get your grips, get your points. And one, they find a very hard time adjusting to it. Two, it leads to a lot of injuries. And especially as they get older, they're like, no longer can do that style, right? So then they're focused now. They get older, they're like, maybe I should just learn how to play defense, or maybe I should take up golf or something else. And so one of the questions I had was about grips. The guy was like, I'm starting jiu-jitsu and I'm scared to get like broken fingers and busted up knuckles. And I see these guys and they spend half the class taping their hands. What do I do? How do I deal with that? Okay. And so we're going to go over kind of some of the ways that, because if you notice, I've been doing jiu-jitsu 22 years and my fingers are fine. And I've avoided a lot of injuries because of this. The first you have to understand is, if you pass my guard, have you won?
No.
No. There's so many guys now. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who trained at a very famous academy. And he came and he trained with some, at a school I was training at that night. And he said, man, a lot of you guys are really good because when I pass your guard, it's still hard to do anything with you. I can't submit you, or you're putting up great defense. He goes, where I train, because it's so focused on, sort of competition mindset. He's like, the guards are incredibly difficult to pass, but once you pass, they all but give up, right? Because in their mind, it's like, well, if this is a tournament, you pass my guard, I probably lost, or I'm probably down by points. I have to develop an impassable guard, right? And so a lot of these, it's like if I watch tournaments these days, I'll say, you see a guy pass the guard, and within 30 seconds, he's submitted. Because their defense, once they're passed, is kind of terrible. And so what this means is this fear of having your guard passed. One, you don't develop a good defense. Two, you end up getting really injured because you're so focused on never giving up your guard that you end up with your knees getting tweaked, your back getting messed up, your grips getting messed up. So make it a holistic jiu-jitsu where your jiu-jitsu is fine if you're mounted, if somebody has your back, if you're on top, all of this. So one of the things one of my friends and I joke about is, can I get you to stand, right? Jiu-jitsu these days is always, one guy sitting, one guy or on his back, and one guy standing, and then if we can, double sleeve control, right? And then we're here and we're doing this, and it's this. And it's like everything is double sleeve control, right? I even saw a police seminar, and they were teaching the people double sleeve control, which is just, it's asinine, right? Like the idea that you're going to have an arrest and you're just going to walk up and get double sleeve control. Like, oh, well, he's got a gi on, or he's got a jacket that's convenient where I can grab the sleeves like that. Plus, pull your arm away and try to punch me. Yeah, you're going to be able to start doing this, right? So one thing, believe it or not, jiu-jitsu doesn't have to be one guy holding the ends of both sleeves. Don't have to do that, okay? Step out of the paradigm. Take the blue pill, right? You can do other things. Okay? But let's talk about some of these grips, right? The thing is, with the kimono, I have so many more grips, but sometimes that can cause you a little bit of problems, right? Sort of the overwhelming amount of grips. So I kind of focus on just a few grips, right? And I focus on kind of the real core movement areas. So first, let's just talk about this. Okay, I don't do a lot of this, and it's not wrong, and you can give people a hell of a lot of trouble. We have the cat's paw or the hook grip and the pistol grip. The problem is if I do like this, and guys will do this, and they'll really put their knuckles in, and that's great. Now you pull your arm away, and pull your arm away, pull, and this is great. But in tournaments and everything, and we really rip it free, eventually, you start really getting, I've had a friend break his finger in a tournament because he's holding on so hard. Now, my friend Jack Jitsu runs Jiu-Jitsu forums. He made a great point one time. The whole point is the connection, right? Yeah, I'd like to control him, But it's more important that I don't lose the connection. So rip your grip free. Now go pull it free. I'm not fighting him. If I fight and he really locks his hands and pulls, I'm going to actually injure my fingers, right? Or it's going to be a battle of my fingers versus your arm. That's a recipe for disaster. Same with this, right? Here. So get used to, go ahead and stand. If I'm here and I'm playing whatever and he's really ripping his hands free, I can be relaxed, right? I can play this. I don't have to try to rip free now. This is going to end up hurting, right? Again, I have pretty fingers because I don't play this game. Okay. So when you play that, just be a little bit more relaxed. You know, it's a little bit like when you're here, you have this, right? And then go ahead and grab my head or pull your arm around. But if I just stay stiff, pull your arm back. Yeah. Right? We got to be flexible, but also at times a little bit more stiff, right? Jiu Jitsu is the definition is what?
The yielding art.
The yielding art, right? So the other thing we can work, of course, is collar grips, right? So this sort of thing. Now again, you know, there's ideal positions, but sometimes you get whatever you can. Again, he rips the gi free. Here. Now, one thing I want to talk about. Okay. Rip the gi free. Okay. Rip the gi free. Okay. This is something you've heard me talk many times about. The connection points. Inside of the elbow, behind the knee, behind the wrist bone, in the palm, the crook of the foot. Okay. In the armpit. Okay. Excuse me. And also here. If I grab, this is one of sort of my secret control things. If I grab your hand like this, pull your hand away, okay? Pull it straight back this way. Yeah, okay. Do it again. Here. Okay. It looks like the same exact thing. But when I go like this, there is a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of space because I was reaching like this. I open my hand, I connect the inside of my palm, then I close. Now he pulls, there's a lot more friction. Guys go like this with the crooked hand, and they grab the gi, and now there's space there. Now it's your finger strength. I put the gi in the palm flat. My hand is wide open, then I close. I don't even have to have a tight grip, pull the grip out, because it's connected more, okay? So really put this grip in your palm if you're grabbing the gi. I go in, look. Palm here, not making a hook grip like this with a crooked hand where there's going to be space at the back of your hand. So I go here. Now, personally, also because of this is my fingers, I use a lot of thumb in grips. I just feel like it's stronger, doesn't hurt my wrist as much. So a lot of attacks I focus on if you want to get good at really doing collar chokes. There's a lot where I really focus, especially from the top on this grip rather than this grip. I use both, but I just feel like this ends up being a little bit more painful on my hand. So I tend to do thumb grips, whether from the back or the front. So if you focus on that, I think that'll save your wrist a lot because your wrist is doing a lot less of this kind of motion. Okay. Now, let's talk about something else. Why I'm kind of a, I guess, I don't know if you want to call me a dinosaur or it's funny, I have friends send me messages like, dude, everybody's doing this thing you've been doing for years, the same for years. I know that sounds arrogant, but so all I'm saying is sometimes the old thing comes around to be the new thing again. All right, the same way that you guys, if you haven't trained in a long time, there was a time when I was a blue belt where I was told over and over, omoplatas are dead. Nobody does omoplatas, they don't work. Or butterfly, right? Adam Wardzinski just came out with the whole butterfly rediscovered. Well, there are a lot of people who never forgot it, right? It's just, then it came back, okay? So, you should stand up. Let's say actually, let's start in my guard. Okay. This is something you can play with, right? If I control your sleeves, right? And the reason people do this, let's understand why people do things because of a certain game, right? If you change the paradigm of the game, it becomes very hard to do. Like, why do people stand to pass so much now? Why do people stand up to pass now? It's harder for me to keep my guard closed, right? So stand up. Right? Careful about the thing. And this is why De La Riva became such a big thing. You know how people started dealing with De La Riva?
They go down.
Yeah, they go down, right? So it kind of circles back, right? But if you stand up now, and you just really posture up hard, I'm not going to be able to hold that. So I have to end up putting my feet on him, which basically means I open my guard. And now what's happening? Now we're here. Maybe I was able to keep the grips or not, and then I'm doing all this, and then now we're what? You're running around. We're playing this grip. I'm trying to hold from out here, and then look how extended my grips are, right? And then now you're trying to break grips and all this, and we're spending all our time. I'm getting my hands hurt the whole time. So one of two things here, right? And unfortunately, I've given this advice many times, and I've had students tell me like it works well, but then their coach yells at them about doing this. But let's say I do this, and you stand up and you rip the grips free, right? I stand up. What I don't want to generally do, down, and this is 90% of jiu-jitsu, get your grips and start to, right, and then you're playing this, you're trying to get your grips, the guy's running around, and it's all this, right? And we know we got 4 or 5 minutes on the clock and we can rest, but now let's say you're 53 years old and I'm 22. Do you want to play that game of, because now what are you having to do when I pass? You're having to invert and do all this and try to get grips and all, yeah, right? Versus, what's one of the first lessons you ever learned?
Weapon base.
Yep. And now, learn to wrestle, learn to do takedowns, okay? If nothing else, you can get the control points you want and then go back to the ground. Okay, so, but what I want to avoid is him standing all the way up. When he's bent over, I have a lot more controls. So one thing I do a lot, when he's here and he goes to stand, I'm actually going to control behind both elbows here. So now he wants to posture up hard. Look at, he wants my legs up. Okay, here. I did that overhead sweep today, right? On one of our guys here. And I hit it because of this. Okay, boom, boom, here. Okay, and I can start walking back down, pulling back down. But if I hold the sleeves and you posture up, yeah. Now if I hold the collar, that's good, but what can the other hand start doing? That or push my leg down.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I'll do this in closed guard, whether they're standing or on the ground. If they stand, again, basic self-defense. Make space, stand up. Right? And if your coach yells at you, I don't know, maybe grab some friends and train on your own sometimes. But getting to your feet is one of the most important things you can do, right? Now, let's talk about control points. The reason that I don't like this, and I like this more, is if I control your hand, move your hand all over the place. And watch this. Am I moving your body very much? Right? What about now?
Yeah.
Right? Pull your arm away. Here. Lift your elbow to the ceiling, bring your elbow down. You see how much play there is in this? And yeah, I still have the connection, but I don't have the control. Or in order to have the control, what do I have to do? Super strong. And then you end up getting your fingers hurt. So gi or no gi, often I'm controlling behind the elbows. Right? Which is easy. He grabs my collar. I control the elbows. Right? Versus, and even if he has a grip now, here, which of us do you feel has more power in this situation?
You have.
Right? Here. And so I use that. I use, even with the gi, I use a lot of overhooks, underhooks, head control. And the other reason I do this is because what's the number one thing to control in every conflict?
Distance.
Right? Again, stand up. Or even actually just put one knee down. What distance is this in a fight?
Punching distance.
Yeah. And if I'm just trying to hold on to sleeves, one, of course, in a fight, you'd be lucky to find sleeves. But if I'm in a fight and you just really want that hand free, it's going to be here and now what's happening. Right? So this, and then I have to really hope I can do something with this. Right? So you're training yourself when you're playing all this kind of game to be in ideal punching position for him. Right? But what if I'm here or I'm here? What distance is this in a fight? Is this good for me or bad for me?
Good for you.
Right? I'm able to wrap him up also. Pull your arm away. I have to use very little power. Pull your arm away to control. And I'm not tearing my hands up. You can grab and do all this, but learn to pull hard. See, I developed, people think I'm much stronger. I have weak grips, but I make a connection. Pull your arm away. And I'm not, you feel like I'm holding tight? No. Watch this. Pull your arm away. Here. By the way, the harder I squeeze, pull your arm away. Here. Okay, so a lot of our game at this academy, even with the gi on, is going to be a lot of elbow controls and head controls and ties where it's not required about my hands, versus just immediately jumping for, like 99% of the, even post a leg up, right? What is it we're doing? Here, 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 all of this and all of this. And yeah, it's fun and it's good, but again, you will eventually get, you get guys who are in their 20s and their fingers look like an 80-year-old judo player's fingers, and they spend all day wrapping their fingers. Not to mention, by doing the clinch work, and it's putting yourself again in a safer position, training to be in a safe range so that your instinct in a fight, you get taken down, and you knock down, is to start reaching for sleeves and reaching for collars. The guy's trying to punch you the whole time, and you're here, okay? So you want to get to where you can control. He's punching right here, right away. I'm in this good control positions. He's trying to pull away, punch. Yeah, posture up. Here. Posture up. Here. Okay. Here. Here, move away, push. Yeah. Second. Here. Okay. So notice we're not doing many grips. Okay. Less is more, right? This is why I even stand up. This is fine. But can I control where your knee is?
No.
Turn your knee outward. And the other way? Yep. So your knee faces where your power is going to face, by the way. Okay? When I control the heel, right? Turn your knees around, right? I can start really, turn your knee out. Yeah, see, I can come in, I can come in. I can start here, right? And does that hurt my fingers? No. Right? This, you really kick your leg away. I'm here. And I'm not really controlling you, right? So, again, learn the other style too, but if that's your only style, yeah, your hands are gonna get messed up, you're gonna train yourself to be in the wrong distance if it is a fight situation. And honestly, you're gonna make life a lot harder for yourself, because if you're an older person especially, but even if you're just someone who wants to train kind of a more, I should say, fight-centered jiu-jitsu, I talk about the 4 things I need to control in every conflict: distance, angle, timing, pace. Okay? I don't want to scramble with you if you want to scramble. I want to scramble with you if I want to scramble. Right? So if you're up jumping all around, I don't want to get into this situation where I invert, do this, foot on the hip, switch upside down. I want to slow you down. Right? I don't want to play the game you want to play. So if I tie my opponent up, I slow him down, which gives me time to think, time to work, right? Versus me running around. Now, again, if he stands up, he makes that space, he's fast. But what do we do if he stands up and makes the space?
We stand up.
We stand up too. Okay. A friend of mine recently sent me a video of a guy in a tournament. And he's on top of the guy. He's just jumping all around, really chumping the guy. But the problem was he wasn't actually doing anything other than racking up points. He wasn't doing anything with all that movement. He was just jumping around. And the point I sent to my friend was like, you see this very common now in jiu-jitsu, right? Jump, jump, move, move, knee, switch, jump around, right? And it looks super cool. What do you see when people are on top in MMA? What do you see when Khabib, not besides the punching?
Control.
Yes, right? They smother, they control, they block. There's none of this knee on belly, back step, switch upside down, da-da-da-da, switch, run around, leg pass, Toriando. None of that, right? Why? Because you need much more control, right? They go to simple control points, right? Head in the face, control the hips, block the arm, heavy chest to chest. And you can do that with the gi, believe it or not. You don't always have to have no gi. And no gi doesn't mean you only have to do leg locks, just also another thing. You can do other things. There's an upper body and no gi too. So same thing from the bottom, right? Learn to play that game. of connection, control. So you set the pace, and also you don't have to burn a bunch of grips. If he hooks behind my head with his arm, yeah, even like we do, grab the neck, pull it. All right. This, do your fingers get tired?
No.
Not only that, but have you controlled where I look?
Yes.
And so what are you also controlling?
Your power.
My power. Grab my collar. Are you controlling my power?
No.
Are you controlling where I look?
No.
Are you keep the grip? Does that work? It's not wrong, right? But does it give you nearly as much as this? Right? Yeah. So if I'm in the guard, if I have this in the guard, that's good, right? If I have this in the guard, that's going to be a lot better. Okay, so hopefully that will help people. Sometimes when I teach certain things the way I was taught and the way I think about it, it's such a paradigm shift from the way so many schools are run that it's hard for people to kind of conceive that you can do something different than, again, when it's gi day, I got the ends of your sleeves, I got a foot on the bicep, you're trying to toriando, you're trying to leg drag. When it's no gi day, we're both going to 50-50 or grab each other's feet, both try to rip each other's legs apart. That there is a whole other world of jiu-jitsu that you could explore, especially if you want to be doing it when you're in your 50s, in your 60s, in your 70s. Trying to invert out of a lasso guard into a triangle or kiss of the dragon when you're 68 may be hard, right? Tying up a guy, setting a knee block inside the arm, maybe working a simple collar choke omoplata still can be done. And hopefully that'll help you guys.